Hey guys, Renkai-san here. Back in the days when albums would get announced and each one had a unique experience around it, there was much more variety going into each of them and seeing what you may like. Whether that was a cloud rap album like Thug Angel, an instrumental rap album like Donuts, a psychedelic rock album like Currents, a shoegaze album like MBV or a bedroom pop album like Salad Days by Mac DeMarco, every one of them was different. But now in the day and age where every new album is starting to sound the exact same, it has you wondering, whatever happened to personality when it came to music, and why does the music itself sound so bland? Today we're gonna be taking a look at why mainstream music is the way it is today and what it used to be. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So before we explain why music is the way it is today, let us first look at the reason why music was created. So about 43,000 years ago, the first instance of music ever created was on bone flutes, which used musical compositions to put notes and sounds together, forming it into what would be called a song. And back then, making music wasn't an easy task. You had to work really hard to achieve musical expertise, which was pretty much several hours of finding the right instruments to play together along with preparing your voice to vocally perform until the song was complete. Songs would be much longer back then, seeing as it took a lot more effort to make just one song. Take, for example, Power by Kanye West, which took him 5,000 hours to complete, mainly in part to the large composition and reworking of the sample. Meanwhile, when it came to classical or sheet music, it took several hours to make the composition, then several more hours fine-tuning every instrument to play the note and get them all in harmony in order to make the final musical piece. It would seem as if artists would want to spend more time making the music so that the end result feels more rewarding. Some would even call it reaching perfection. Even Swans does this with their long sessions where not only the song is being made but it is being transformed with every note and sense of musical direction. So what happened? With the rise of short-form musical platforms like Musical.ly and TikTok, there was less of a focus towards innovation and musical talent and more of a focus towards getting that bag. This then inspired a whole wave of artists who had a hit mindset when it came to making music. So instead of focusing on making good music, they made music that they know would hit the platforms, go viral and make them the most money. They ensured this by making the most catchy songs designed for the radio and other forms of song play. Who knows? The viral hit could even get you a record deal and mainstream recognition. But the problem with this is that most of the artists who get a deal this way don't know how to musically advance their careers after making that one hit, so they usually don't and fail on expectations. This also led to the rise of industry plants who were artists that used to be unsigned before they made it but now suddenly get tons of mainstream push despite you not even knowing who they are. This label can pretty much get thrown onto any artist nowadays. And usually, the only real way you can prove that you're not an industry plant is if you're able to show your audience that you have other hits on your roster and a full catalog of other music that proves that you've been making music for a while and don't deserve to be labeled as just another nobody in the music space. And while some industry plants can prove that they're not what their label claims they are, others sadly can't. It's pretty mixed on whether or not people fully support industry plants, but I give them about 2 or 3 years before I decide if they're more than what they're being called. Within that time, it really is your chance to become a musical superstar. But yeah, less and less genuine artists who care about the actual craft of the music are blowing up and it's all about the money now. And while unique music still exists, it has become much harder to come by now given that you have to do some deep digging to find it. And it is clear that the passion isn't there anymore to make the albums. Now it's because of label requirements that force you to put out albums every 3 years or so to keep the fans happy. It's less of being in your own control and more like having a bunch of yes men around you to tell you to release it, and nobody even has the urge to stop someone from making an absolute catastrophe in the studio. That's what led to the creations of the songs Peanuts 2 and Elephant by Lil Wayne, Mystical Magical by Benson Boone, Butt Slut by Kim Petras, I Don't Wanna Wait by David Guetta, and One Republic and Meet Your Padre by Drake and Party Next Door, just as a few examples. To prove the drive is no longer there, let me go through a few albums where this is very clearly the case. Jack Boys 2 by Travis Scott. The previous Jack Boys album sold 154,000 copies and was marketed as more of an album that was meant to put his label on and be less of a Travis album itself. Its intent was clear, and this album was the sole reason as to why Don Toliver was able to become a superstar overnight. The second Jack Boys album, however, felt more like a Travis Scott album than an actual Jack Boys album. And most of the songs are worse in quality and have less standout moments than Jack Boys did. Not one truly notable feature like the Pop Smoke feature the first one did. Not even a hint of originality. Just bland and boring trap music that serves as a project Travis fans can listen to while waiting for him to drop what can actually be a good album next time around. Swag by Justin Bieber. While there was more of a personal focus to this album compared to his last album named Justice, what the album wants to be at the end of the day is very unclear due to multiple genre changes and a wide range of features. That being said, the sequencing of the album was very off. The Carter 6 by Lil Wayne. The previous Carter albums have offered high-quality material, impact value and the hits. The sixth installment doesn't do any of that and opts for a half-assed album that we did not wait 5 years for. American Heart by Benson Boone. Terrible and bland pop music. You get the point. Did these artists forget to try or something? Why are we getting such low-effort albums from all the big names and yet such incredible albums from less recognized names? It's baffling how much better the underground is doing right now compared to the mainstream. They have a more unique aesthetic going on and not every record will sound the same. Lots of different genres are at play, but everything in the mainstream sounds nearly identical. Every trap album you will listen to is bloated and has the most boring vocal performances you will ever hear. Every metal album has the same types of riffs and screaming that they did back in the 80s. Every pop album aims for originality and takes the most well-known songs to man and completely ruins them because of unoriginal takes that are unfaithful to their source material. And every pop-punk album is made by a whiny teenager. It's all the same really. Not only is mainstream music getting worse, music discourse is also getting worse. Back then, there were valid criticisms for not liking certain albums or songs. Whether it was an issue someone had with its lyrics, how the beat, or beats, sounded, the mixing, how the artist perceives themselves or other reasons. Now people pay less attention to the music itself and focus on whether it sounds good or not. And while this isn't a bad mindset to have, it more often leads to people ignoring what the music really means. It's seen as being an ignorant listener who only cares about playlist material. And some people's defenses for liking or disliking the music isn't just because they find issues with it nowadays. It's because they either think the artist isn't capable of making a single bad song or that the artist isn't capable of making a single good song. And nobody agrees with each other on music opinions nowadays. We have been more split than ever with what people actually enjoy and what people don't. More often than not, this leads to bombing music or giving it a higher score than it should have. We are way past having logical musical discussions now and it has just dissolved into shouting matches over which fanbase has the bigger ego. So I will say that at least if you discuss the state that music has been in the comments of this video, at least be reasonable with your evidence towards it being the worst that it has in years. I don't want to see any stupid arguments over it, okay? And that's my take on why mainstream music isn't as good as it used to be. But what do you think? Has mainstream music gotten worse over the years? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.